My name is Darlene Rondo, and I'm the Vice President, Best Practices for Leonardo's Online Merchandising Group, and I'm going to be your host for today's special event. I really want to welcome everyone around the globe. I was just saying to the panelists that I see we have someone from the Dominican on and someone from Amsterdam, so thank you very much for joining us. I know, it's a different time zone for everyone around the world, so for some of you, it could be the middle of the night. Today, we're going to challenge the educational status quo on social media marketing with sophisticated strategies to take your social strategy to the next level and gain insight into a return on investment of your time, effort, and budget. A few housekeeping items before we begin. First, we're going to be recording the webinar, and at the conclusion of today's session, we're going to be sending you a thank you for joining us email with a link to that recording so you can share or listen to again at your leisure. Additionally, and I see some of you have already found it, you have a questions dialog box in your GoToMeeting panel. So as we move through our discussion today, please feel free to send in your questions, and we'll either address them throughout the webinar, but we'll be sure to address them at the end of the presentation. And we're also going to be tweeting during today's discussion, so please feel free to join in the conversation at #LeoWebinar. So as we do with all of our webinars, we start with a poll, and today's poll is a question we'd like you to answer. What's your main goal with social media marketing? And the reason, a couple of reasons why we ask this, we want to know what's in the minds of everyone out there, and it will also help us guide our discussion for our panelists. So there's 4 questions to choose from. Produce more exposure for your property, increase social referral traffic to your property's website, increase customer trust and brand loyalty, and then lastly, manage your property's online reputation. So by and large, it looks like produce more exposure is #1, followed pretty closely by increased social referral traffic, and then increasing customer trust and brand loyalty. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to close the poll, and we're going to continue with our event for today. An early adopter of social media, Daniel Edward Craig, launched the first hotel blog in 2006. That's almost 10 years ago. Wow. While Daniel was the general manager of Opus Hotel, attracting a worldwide following for its irreverent insider's look at running the world-renowned boutique hotel. Daniel has since published 3 mystery models set in hotels, one of which I have read, which was a really good read. Today, as founder and CEO of Renown, he provides strategy and training in marketing, social media, and reputation management to hotels and travel organizations around the world. Morgan Coons manages marketing and social media for 2 Joie de Vivre hotels, the Saguaro Scottsdale and the Saguaro Palm Springs. With a background in graphic design, as you'll see from Morgan's slides, Morgan became passionate about social media world and trained with the now brand manager of W Hotels. Her dream job is social media for a zoo, which combines her love of animals and social media. Morgan is a Colorado native and a die-hard Broncos fan. She currently resides in Scottsdale, Arizona with her 2 dogs, Chewy and Auckland. Before we get started today, I'd like to share with you some findings from a report by Medallia, a Silicon Valley research firm, that are germane to our topic today. First, hotels that actively engage in social media reviews grow occupancy at double the rate of properties that don't. Properties that also responded to feedback in less than a day had an average occupancy rate almost 13% higher than properties taking longer than 2 days. And qualitatively speaking, engaging thoroughly and promptly with all kinds of customer feedback shows frontline employees what they need to do to deliver better experiences. These are just a few of the reasons why what you're going to hear today from Daniel and Morgan should be taken really seriously to see your return on investment in time, money, and effort pay off. Now, at this point, I am going to reintroduce my favorite James Bond man, Daniel Edward Craig. Daniel, I'm going to give you control of the mouse and keyboard.
Hi, Darlene. How are you?
I'm great.
Good, good. Well, thanks for having me. Um, Now, do I have control here? Let me just
You
see.
should have. There you go.
Here we go. Yeah, so as you mentioned, I learned about social media and storytelling early on when we launched the first ever hotel blog when I was general manager of Opus Hotel in Vancouver. And because I talked about a lot of things that your typical general manager wouldn't talk about, the blog attracted a worldwide following, and it really helped to put the hotel on the map. And then, as you mentioned, I have since published 3 mystery novels set in hotels, which allowed me to combine my love of hotels with storytelling. And Darlene, you read the first novel, Murder at the Universe, and I like to joke that in the first chapter of that book, the general manager of a hotel in New York is murdered, and a lot of hotel employees buy the book just based on that premise.
That's funny.
So today I run a consulting business, Renown, and I provide strategy and training in social media, online marketing, and reputation management. So a key part of that is storytelling, helping businesses to shape their stories to get travelers to tell stories about them and to leverage the powerful sharing features of social media. Now, I know a lot of our listeners today have been managing social media for a while, and because it's constantly changing, many of us are self-taught. We're learning on the fly, kind of making things up as we go along, making up the rules. The challenge with that approach is we can pick up some bad habits along the way. We can lose sight of our objectives and confuse our priorities. Darlene, you've been educating hoteliers for several years now. Have you ever seen evidence of this?
Absolutely. We first started out, just doing the simple things. I think Facebook really was the platform that everybody started with. And then as the social media world grew, we sort of cut our teeth on Facebook, then started to take advantage of these other platforms. And there's certainly a lot out there to choose from. So it's kind of hard to narrow down where you want to be and what you want to do because they serve different purposes.
For sure, and that's why whether you've been doing this for a long time or you're fairly new to it, it's important to always go back to your objectives and strategies. Why are you doing this, and what do you wish to achieve? Goals and strategies, of course, will vary by hotel and brand, but in general, we share 3 goals. We want to build awareness of our hotel or brand to increase guest satisfaction and ultimately to generate revenue, whether directly or indirectly. Now, these have to tie in with the broader goals of the hotel because social media, of course, is just part of a hotel's ecosystem. So to achieve these goals, strategies may include maintaining a presence on key social networks, building and engaging communities, responding to inquiries and feedback, and posting news, helpful information, and special offers, things that many of you are doing on a daily basis. But more than anything, I think these activities are designed to compel action. And I'll talk about that a bit more in a moment. So by action, well, action can come in many forms. You want people to like your posts or your page, to follow you, to click your links, maybe watch your video, join an email list or a loyalty program, bookmark information to view later, or check into your hotel, tag it in a photo, and most important, of course, book your hotel, recommend it, and share your content. Now, an effective way of compelling these actions is to shape your messaging into stories that capture attention, are meaningful, and are remembered and shared. A good story resonates. It's helpful to divide social media into 3 types and to understand the impact of each on consumers. Paid content is content that you purchase in order to promote your hotel, and it includes things like display advertising, sponsored posts and content, and promoted or boosted content. You have high control over messaging in this content because you pay for it, but it has relatively low trust with consumers because they know it's coming from a marketer who wants to sell them something. Owned content includes content in your social profiles, your posts and comments and imagery, as well as content on your website and blog if you have one. Now, you have a high control over messaging, but it has only moderate trust with consumers because, again, it comes from a marketer. Lastly, there's earned content or user-generated content, what other people are saying about your hotel or brand. Now, this includes traveler reviews, social shares, likes and comments, and media and blogger coverage. You have low control over the messaging, but it has high trust with consumers because it comes from other consumers who don't stand to benefit if the product is purchased. So the most effective of the three types is earned content because it has high trust, high impact, and low cost. So you want to make sure that your efforts focus on generating earned content. Now let's look at an example of that. We'll look at the Four Seasons Hotel and Resorts, which is always a great reference point for excellence in social media. And here's the company's Facebook page, and here's a recent post about a special promotion. Now, what I'll ask listeners, and maybe I'll ask you, Darlene, what on this page is owned, earned, or paid content?
And I don't want to give away the big surprise, although I'm sure a lot of folks on the webinar today can identify it. But obviously, the right banner sponsored would be paid. The earned would be, you know, you post something interesting in an effort to get someone to respond and engage with you, and that's the you know, the center Facebook comments, and then the owned would be the beautiful Four Seasons imagery you see in the background, and of course the logo.
Absolutely, A+ for you, Darlene. So
Thank
the owned
you.
content, as Darlene mentioned, the Four Seasons owns the page. They control the messaging. They also own the posts and control the messaging. And then the earned content, as Darlene mentioned, is what other people are saying about the page and the company, the likes on the page, as well as on the post, the likes, comments, and shares. And that's really the most valuable content because it's endorsed by other users to their friends. And then, of course, the paid content, if the Four Seasons decided to boost it or do a display ad, it appears up in the upper right here. And so these days, in order to maximize your reach in social media, you must strive to integrate all three types of content in your campaigns. Now, traveler reviews are a particularly powerful form of earned content because, well, people go to review sites like TripAdvisor to shop for hotels and plan trips, where they go to social networking sites like Facebook largely to socialize and to get news. In this review on the screen here, the guests feel so passionate about the hotel and its staff, they just have to share their story. Not only are they coming back, but they're actively recommending it to other travelers. Positive reviews are generated, of course, when expectations are exceeded and when experiences are remarkable or worth remarking about. By the same token, if there's a discrepancy between the stories you tell as a brand and the experiences your hotel provides, you're going to hear about it in the stories travelers share in negative reviews. I like this contest as an example. It asks people to tweet a 6-word story about why they want to win a trip to the Press Hotel in Portland, Maine. It's smart because it plays on the literary theme of the hotel, the brevity of tweets, and it partners with The New Yorker, a literary magazine. It's all very cohesive. The hotel is part of the autograph collection, and entrants are asked to include the hashtag #AutographIn6, inserting the brand into every tweet. This is a great example of storytelling on a social level, engagement, and generating user content. Now, many hotels have gotten into the selfie craze, but some are finding out that it's getting harder and harder to get users to post photos of themselves that have a commercial bent. So we need to be creative And as an example, Stay Central Hotel in Edinburgh, they've placed a selfie spot in probably the second best place in a hotel if you don't have a view to show off. The elevator, because people are often in elevators waiting idly and playing with their smartphones already. And by encouraging guests to upload selfies and tag them, the hotel inserts itself into travelers' stories. And the content becomes user-generated or earned content, so it has more impact than marketing content posted by the hotel.
Hey, Daniel, I think
Yes.
that is one of the most clever things I've seen someone do to encourage user-generated content. And I would ask everybody on the webinar, if you're doing things like Press Hotel or like this, this hotel in Edinburgh is doing, please send that to us in the chat box, because we'd like to share this kind of stuff with the audience. You know, that's one of the reasons why we take 45 minutes out of our day to spend time on webinars to learn something new. And I think this is just really, really innovative. So thanks for sharing that. The other thing I want to say to the audience is, again, keep sending us your questions in the chat box. But we have a technical thing going on, and it's because of the internet connection is going in and out. And so some of you are seeing this weird black spot go off and on your screen. So my apologies. We're trying to sort that out, but in the interim, know that it's the internet connection that's making that happen. So thanks, Daniel. Back to you.
Well, thanks for clarifying that, Darlene, because I was wondering if that was my brain or vision. So I'm glad I'm not the only one seeing that occasionally.
No.
All right. So now, to stand out in social media, you must not only be creative, but resourceful. Travelers are constantly uploading photos and videos of their trips, and you can often find a source of fresh user-generated content by searching Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest for mentions of your hotel, brand, and destination. And when you find content that you like, ask the owner if you can share it too. Now on Pinterest, I don't know if you knew this, but if you type in pinterest.com/source/your website, like for the Opus Hotel on the right side there, it'll actually show you who has pinned images from your website and what their comments are. So it's a way of managing the buzz about your hotel and what content they're pulling from your website. All right, so as advanced social media users, you're expected to be fastidious about tracking your progress in reaching those goals we discussed earlier and assessing the effectiveness of your strategies. Social media metrics can be divided into three main types. Look at review analytics, which measure performance on review sites like TripAdvisor, Google Business, and OTAs. Then social analytics measure your performance on social networking sites like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And then website analytics, which measure the interplay between social media and your website, the traffic social media sites generate, the activity, and ultimately the conversions. So when you put these all together and track your progress, you'll have a much clearer idea of how you're doing, why you're doing it, and where to dedicate resources going forward. Last, I want to mention two emerging technologies where you might want to look into dedicating resources in the near future given their relevance to social media. Virtual reality takes visual storytelling to the next level, allowing travelers to see exactly what they're going to get. Shangri-La Hotels is giving virtual reality headsets to all of its sales teams to help them promote their properties, which I find really interesting and may become standard in the future. Beacons, which are small transmitters that send push notifications to smartphones of anybody who signed into a dedicated app, they give hotels opportunities here to engage with travelers while they're on property and to send out relevant offers and information. Marriott is currently testing out beacon technology in select U.S. hotels and Facebook has been sending its own beacon to hotels around the U.S. and is expected to roll the program out worldwide. So we'll be hearing more about these technologies in the coming months. So stay tuned. And that, Darlene, is my story.
Excellent. Thanks, Daniel. A couple of things, and this is from Rosella. She was saying, great idea with the elevator selfie, but she's worried that if they have poor Wi-Fi in an elevator and at so many branded hotels, doesn't that open up a can of worms for reputation management?
Yeah, I mean, you'd certainly want to test that. You could always look at having it outside the elevators where people are waiting for the elevators.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea. I like that. And, you know, you can always take the picture in the elevator and then, you know, upload it later, right?
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here's another, you know, because I asked everybody to send in their ideas. Kyle from Cove Haven Entertainment was saying they have a model display of a 7-foot-tall champagne tower whirlpool tub in each of their resorts and a 4-foot-tall, an 8-foot-tall banner encouraging people to take a selfie with the champagne tower, and then they post it to Instagram using a hashtag that they track, and then they incentivize everyone because they have a contest where they pick a winner at the end of this month and then award them with a gift certificate to the gift shop. So I think that's a terrific idea as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. I swear I have a picture of that champagne tower on my Pinterest page.
Really? That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. And here's another question from Justin Daniel. He wants to promote my hotel to more foreign travelers in Florida. What's the best hashtag or way to do that, do you think?
That's hilarious. Did you say foreign travelers in Florida?
To Florida, uh-huh.
Is he from the States? Are Florida people considered foreigners by Americans?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe he's in Canada or another country.
Yeah.
So, God, what's the best hashtag to promote to Florida travelers? I mean, I wouldn't know offhand. You need to do some research and find out. I would find a popular hashtag related to Florida and travel and start experimenting with that. And, you know, it's just like anything in social media. It's trial and error. You always need to try things and quickly decide whether they're working or not. And if not, move on. As well, we don't always need to invent the wheel. I talked about the importance of being resourceful, going out there and seeing what other companies similar to yours that you admire and want to be more like, what are they doing, and adapting some of those ideas to fit your own brand.
No, that's a good point. And just one more comment, and then we'll move on to key takeaways. Steve says, it's important to remember that any selfie, you should be able to see the hotel's logo or name in that selfie somehow, and I think that's a good point. So thanks for bringing that up.
For sure,
And,
yeah, great point.
Yeah. Oh, and Patricia chimed in. She goes, how about hashtag visit Florida? There you go. There you go, Justin. Try that one. So thanks, everybody. Keep the questions coming, and we'll continue to address them throughout our event. So, you know, we're not all natural storytellers, but what we can do is evolve our knowledge of social marketing and continue to. And I call them sort of next practices to stay current. It's important to remember the basics, but if you're still doing social marketing the way you were even 2 years ago, know that there's a much more modern way to do it. There's lots of new platforms, and there are lots of new tools and techniques. You know, convincing someone to take an action like bookmarking or watching a video or tagging your property, those are relatively new things in the world of social marketing. So remember that. And then, as Daniel said, integrating the 3 types of social media content it enables you to develop a stronger and more holistic presence. And so that's going to make your storytelling even more compelling. And you can be social and clever at the same time, like Press Hotel did with their 6-word contest, to lure people into their storytelling world. So Thanks, Daniel. It's always good to hear from you. And I know the audience, just judging by those questions, are super interested in hearing more. So I'd like to reintroduce Morgan Coons. And Morgan, I am going to give you control of the mouse and keyboard as well. And again, folks, sorry for that, that black spot that keeps appearing on the screen. We haven't been able to address the issue yet, so thanks for hanging in there with us. So Morgan, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Darlene, and thank you for having me. You guys have to bear with me. This is my first time, so I'm a first-timer. So
no worries.
So if you need to interrupt, please go ahead. I kind of wanted to share with everybody how we use our social media here at the Saguaro, and let's see if my keyboard works.
Yeah, you can use your, there you go.
There we go. All right.
Yep.
So I manage the social media for the Saguaro Scottsdale and the Saguaro Palm Springs. The nice thing about our two properties is we actually have the same brand and same voice. So it makes it a little easier on my part. So the most important thing, obviously, for social media is going to be your voice and your message so that you can use them across all the channels. For, as example, this is our message, our voice of the Saguaros: fun-loving, never too cool, non-corporate, quirky, inclusive, passionate about our region and our neighborhood, humble, respectful, and thankful. So I'll kind of show you in the next couple slides about how we tie it into our social media that we use so that we can tell our story. The big 3 social media channels that we use are Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This I kind of made up a little graph for you to see kind of how we use them and what we use them for. To tie them all together, we actually use them all for interaction with our guests and engagement, which I believe is the most important part, because when somebody you get engaged with, they'll tell you more about their stay and more feedback. Twitter and Facebook, we do a lot of offers. A lot of our packages, any like need periods that we will do, any specials that we have. Facebook and Instagram, we do a lot of visuals, pictures. Everybody wants to know the kind of product that they're getting. So here on property, obviously we have a great Instagrammable property because of all the colors, so that makes it stand out more. Twitter and Instagram is all about here and now. Don't really do anything with the past. It's all about if a guest is on property right now and they tweet us, it's all about right now, and I get back to them right then and there. Some of the other ones we use are Pinterest and Google+, which Pinterest is great for sales, which I'll get into in a little bit, and Google+ we use for more offers. So I broke it down into our 3 biggest ones that we use for platforms. Facebook is our biggest. We do about 4 to 6 posts per week, and I'll show you how, kind of what Daniel was talking about, how the 3 different contents are used. We use our specials and offers. Obviously, we do, spa specials. If you follow us, we'll do certain specials strictly for our Facebook followers. We post our events that we have. Now Facebook can actually, people that like your Facebook can follow your events. So once you post a new event, people will actually get a notification that you have a new event coming up, which is great. We share a lot of our PR standings that happen, a lot of our bloggers that we come in. As you can see on this one, Travel and Leisure posted a, what am I trying to say, an article about the LGBT destination weddings. So when we post that, we get a lot of traffic without having to boost the post. For those of you that aren't really sure what boosting will basically, you put some money into it and more people will actually be able to see it. You can do targeted audiences, like your drive market, anybody you kind of want it to see. This one had 7,200 people that it reached and that they saw that. And that's really good because of the Travel and Leisure has such a big following as well. So this would have been...
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, Morgan, Alice in the audience has a question because you mentioned for folks who may not know what boosting is. Are you saying that you pay to boost a post?
You can. So this one, if you boosted this post right there in the corner, a boost post would be you'd put some money into it. It can be from $5 to $100,000.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cost that much, and you can actually target your audience. So let's say the gentleman that wanted to get people following him from Florida,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
What you can get is you can actually pinpoint Florida. You can pinpoint the genders you like, any people that have interest in travel. So you could actually pinpoint all the way down to that.
Yep.
So.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. For Facebook, we actually also link our Instagram. So anything we post on Instagram, we can put on Facebook. And we do that because of the platforms. And there's different clientele on each platform, which we talked about. Facebook is great. We have Visale, which is great because we have all of our specials and our packages on our actual Facebook page, so you don't actually have to go to our website. We also have Take a Tour, which gives you a little more information, which is great for sales, catering, all sorts of things. People can kind of see what your product is. Of course, interaction, any engagement, the action that we take, people can check into your place, like Daniel was saying with the beacon or without the beacon. If we like posts, we comment on posts, all sorts of things just to get our guests involved. And we do a lot of ads and need periods, which this would be our paid content that Daniel was talking about. But this is what it looks like after I boost a post. And this one, almost 30,000 people. I believe I only put $40 into it. So it's really cool. And then after that, you can track it with Google Analytics and see how many people actually booked.
Sure. Hey, Morgan, Fran has a question. She's wondering, do you get a lot of site traffic from Facebook to your own independent sites?
We do. If you see, our Facebook is actually our biggest. Instead of like Google AdWords, we've done a lot of testing on which one works best. Facebook and our email marketing actually does the best. So that's when we
most traffic.
Correct. That's when we started putting most of our money into Facebook. So if you see on the right-hand side, I don't know if you can see my mouse.
Yeah, we can see your arrow. Yeah.
Cool. So this would be our page, and this little Book Now section, that's on the very front of the Facebook, and you can actually boost that actual button, put money into it, and so that more people can actually see it, and that will drive traffic to your website.
That's interesting. Thank you.
Let's see. All right, Instagram's our next one. We do about 2 to 5 posts per week. Regrams. So regrams are basically Instagram photos that people take and tag us in them. And then what I do is I screenshot them and I tag the person who took the photo. This is, I believe, to be one of the biggest compliments that a property could actually do for one of their guests, because it's saying that you like the picture that they took and you are following them and you want to share it with the rest of your followers. So this certain one, we have some girls playing at the pool and I gave them photo credit. So we get a lot of compliments on regramming.
Yeah, that's a nice way to thank them for sharing.
Yes. There's actually an app that you can regram, but then it has a little ugly sign at the bottom that says regram. So I do it differently. Interaction, of course. We like photos. We follow people. The more you follow, the more followers you get. Complimenting, all sorts of things. For our Instagram, for our properties, we don't do direct sales or pitches because we want our Instagram to be more fun, interactive. Always geotag your Instagrams. If you see up on the top right, it is basically geotag. So if somebody goes to a map on Instagram, and sees the Saguaro Palm Springs, anybody that tags your property, it'll show up all in that searchable area. We include hashtags, relatable hashtags. This is one of my favorite little guys, of course.
Of course.
It was, of course, a regram, which regramming is great because I'm not on property all the time. But if you can see right here, there's TGIF, the Saguaro, Palm Springs, regram, and hashtag dog friendly. A lot of people learn that we are dog friendly hotels just from our Instagram hashtags.
Yeah, no, that's like, you know, the cliche, right? A picture is worth 1,000 words. Obviously, you wouldn't have regrammed that if you weren't pet friendly. Which
Exactly.
brings us to a question from Tom, who wants to know, are there any privacy issues when you regram?
Since we give photo credit, we have not had any. I've had a guest actually, I had somebody take over our Instagram and they forgot to photo credit it, so we actually just deleted it. So there are possible
Issues, yeah.
issues, yes.
Yeah, so Tom, you should probably check with the folks on property, you know, with counsel to help you understand that better. Don't you think, Morgan?
Yes, I would definitely. A lot of people also ask, sometimes we ask them, the actual posters, if we can regram.
Yeah.
And that's fine too.
Yeah, sure.
So, cool, good question. Okay, Twitter is our next big one. 2 to 5 posts per week. We use this as mostly our engagement and communication platform. As you can see, just a couple days ago, a gentleman by Tom, funny enough, asked for our email address. I got back to him. He loved it, said thank you, emailed us, easy peasy. We also link this to our Instagram and Tumblr, which is our blog site. Like I said before, it's different clientele, so we want to keep everybody up to date. You keep Twitter short, sweet. You only have 140 characters that you can use, so I try to keep it at 120 or less, because if somebody wants to repost it, then they will have to add something on there if they'd like. As the action items, we favorite things, we retweet. This one was a wedding we had at the Saguaro Palm Springs, and they tagged us in it, so we retweeted it. It gets a lot of exposure.
It's cute.
Some of our other social media channels, I messed this part up, but we use Tumblr, which is 1 to 3 posts per week. Tumblr is a blog site. It's the dinosaur right here. We keep our blogs fun, exciting, kind of fun things that you can do in the area, whether it be Palm Springs, Scottsdale, Florida. Google Plus, which is on the right, we do about 1 to 3 posts per week. This is more sharing, kind of more like a Facebook platform. And then Pinterest. If we ever have new photos or wedding photos, we definitely tag the photographer. And it's great for any sales or any catering leads that we get, that we can show kind of what we can do on property. A lot of people ask, how do you get travelers involved on social media? The first thing that I think people should know is that you should basically know that, let the travelers know that you have these social media sites. So if you have any collateral, make sure you put the logos on there. If somebody's a social media guru, they'll see that logo and definitely search for you right away. Interaction on social media, whether they tag you or not, you can always look up, for us, I look up anything that has Saguaro in it, whether it's spelled right or not, because a lot of people don't spell it correct. And we'll interact with them, whether it's good or bad. I remember one time I actually interacted with Taco Bell, and I got really excited. My personal one.
That's funny.
Regrams, like I said before, they're a huge compliment. This one is actually not at the property, but it is part of our voice and our brand. So we regrammed it and said that we loved it, which gave them exposure, and then also us exposure. So as you can see, Megan said, thanks for sharing. We can't wait to be back in Palm Springs. So hopefully at that point she'll stay with us next time. And we also do, oops, excuse me, offers, of course, on Facebook. If you tell guests that if they follow you on Facebook, they'll give you certain offers. Like this one was specifically for Facebook. They got 40% off your summer stay. A lot of people joined just so that they could see this offer.
And how did that promotion go?
It worked great. We have a lot of issues here in the summer. So,
Sure.
and as you can see, I used a bit.ly site so I can save that. But yes, it works really great. Just for future reference, I use Hootsuite. It's great for keeping up. I have 6, I think, Facebook sites that I do and 6 Twitter sites. So this is kind of what my Hootsuite looks like. It's just a big mess, but it keeps me definitely organized.
Yeah.
And then I also follow a lot of things on Facebook like Social Media Examiner, Hootsuite, and PR Daily, and they give a lot of good ideas to do things next. Like Daniel and Darlene were saying, that we're kind of just trying new things.
Yeah, and I think that's important to keep in mind, right? On some social platforms, it changes every 30 seconds. On others, it has a tendency to stay longer, like on a Pinterest board or something. But on a Twitter feed, it is fleeting, right? So you can try different things, like Morgan's talking about, right? And if it's working, keep doing it. If it's not working, then don't do it. So
exactly. Correct.
Well, thank you, Morgan. Tons of questions coming in, and I am going to. There was one I thought was. Let's see where it is. So do you link so that it shares directly from Instagram? This is coming from Elizabeth. So are those direct links from Instagram that you were talking about?
I do, yes. On Instagram, there's under the options menu, there's linked accounts. And under there, you can actually link that directly to your Facebook.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, so just to recap, and again, Morgan, terrific. It's always really valuable to the audience to hear from someone on property who's actually living and breathing this stuff. So, be true to your personality and brand. Otherwise, it just doesn't come across as genuine, and therefore, your audience is going to pick up on that in 2 seconds. If you ask someone for their input, whether it's the Instagrammable moment or a written review, be respectful, don't judge or discount someone's feedback, respond in a timely manner within 24 hours, and then thank you goes a very long way, whether someone's giving you a compliment or a criticism. It's important to acknowledge that you've heard that person, just as you would in real life, right? So keeping your eye on the ball, finger on the pulse, foot on the base, however it is you want to say it, using tools like Hootsuite, like Morgan's doing, keep your eye on your social media dashboard using whatever tool that makes sense for you, and then make social media tracking a part of your daily routine. As Morgan said, her dashboard is kind of crazy, but it does really help her organize her day and respond to folks. So as always, everyone in the audience, you've been great. If you could weigh in and let us know what you thought of today's content, and that helps us understand what kinds of educational material to continue to put together, or do we need to go in a different direction. So it's always really good to hear from you, and we do appreciate you letting us know what you thought of the content. So we'll give it a couple more seconds to let everybody weigh in. So by and large, everyone liked the content today. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to close the poll now, and we are going to move on. When Henry Ford democratized the car, he built one for the multitude so that every person who wanted one could afford one. And that was the objective when we launched our digital marketing platform we call Visale that Morgan was talking about a minute ago, because it makes it possible for virtually every accommodation provider on the planet to have an affordable website that not only looks and feels like a custom product, but importantly impacts conversions in a very meaningful way. Social media has also democratized the internet, making information easily accessible and shareable. Today we heard Daniel present key strategies to build and maintain an online community through social marketing, which will compel future action from your potential guests. And while Morgan presented best practices to reach guests through a variety of different social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Visale also provides the opportunity to engage travel shoppers on social media and drive more bookings with our multimedia-driven Facebook apps. And that can all be integrated into your website. So it's an opportunity to set yourself apart from your competition so that the shopper chooses your property with the certainty that it is the right choice for them. Just a housekeeping item before we wrap up with the remaining questions. Stay tuned for invitations to upcoming webinars, including next month's topic, which is going to be about Visale, and it's going to talk about how Visale levels the playing field for all hotel marketers, not just the hotel marketers with those giant budgets. And though we're going to be talking about our product, we're also going to be sharing insights into online visual storytelling techniques that actually move the dial. And as many of you have asked, yes, you're going to receive an email thanking you for joining us today with a recording of this webinar. So with that, we're going to just address some final questions here. And Haping is asking, and I'll address this to both Daniel and Morgan. Daniel, you first. What platform do you think is the most important?
Which social media platform? Well, I divide social media into two types: review sites and social networking sites. I think review sites are absolutely the #1 most important part of social media because that's where, as I mentioned earlier, people go to shop and book hotels. It's about intent, whereas they tend to go to Instagram and Facebook and Twitter for different reasons. It's not an efficient, these are not efficient platforms for planning a trip. You can get ideas and see what other people are doing, but so anyway, short answer, I would say start with TripAdvisor, and then when it comes to social networking sites, Facebook continues to rule. I think it's become very challenging to get your posts seen with changes to the algorithm, and now to really expand your reach on Facebook. It's hard to do that without paying, and we all feel differently about that. But I think it still is the place to go to reach the largest audience.
Great. And Morgan, any thoughts on that?
I would definitely have to agree with Daniel. TripAdvisor is great for reviews. Facebook also has reviews, but they're not as reviewable, I guess. So, but I would still have to go with Facebook just because there's so many different options that you can use it for.
Great, thank you. And here's a question. I love this question. And hi, Monica. Good to talk to you. Thanks for joining us. Any merit to Snapchat from a business perspective? Morgan, you first.
I love Snapchat. I use it for other, just for my personal, and I follow other businesses. It's actually definitely boosting up in the platform area. We don't personally use it because it's we can't track much from it. So as a business, I don't see it doing much, but for like large businesses like Taco Bell, which I'm a huge fan of, they Snapchat like new comings and new tacos and everything. So it kind of just depends on the business.
Yeah, Daniel, any thoughts on Snapchat in particular?
Well, it's, much like Facebook was initially not a commercial platform, they've become very commercial. Instagram starting, allowing all types of businesses to add, so it's becoming more commercial. Snapchat's still more or less a social program. There's definitely lots of brands involved and opportunities to advertise, but I think you have to look at your resources, how much time and resources you have available, and where are you getting the biggest bang for your buck. I think it's better to focus on a few platforms and do them really well than to stretch yourself too thin. That said, if you've got a special hotel or maybe a budget hotel or youth hostel type brand where a lot of millennials are your target audience, then it may make sense to make Snapchat a priority.
Yeah, I think that's always the case, right? Be on the platforms that your guests are using and that your target audience is using, because that's going to be your best chance of connecting in a meaningful way, right? So if your guests are on Snapchat, you should use it. If they're not, maybe not. So I love this question, and it's actually our last question. This is from Caitlin. She is just starting to kick off her social media strategy. How do you suggest you start? She's thinking about coinciding the kickoff with an event or holiday. What do you guys think about that? Morgan?
I definitely agree. Once I first came to the Saguaro, we kind of had a kickoff reopening party, and we definitely made sure that social media was included in on that, on the events, on all the collateral so that people could do it. And you should definitely do some sort of hashtag that has something to do with your brand or your property, something that you can track so that you can put it all together at the end and see how well it went.
Excellent. Daniel, any words of wisdom there?
Well, I'd just say events can be very expensive and a lot of work to organize, and so you want to make sure they're extremely successful, and part of the success will be getting people there, but also if it's related to social media, getting them very active on tweeting and Instagramming and sharing during the event. So I'd think hard about how you're going to make sure that people are encouraged, but not only encouraged, but actually incentivized and rewarded for some of that behavior. But I think it's a great idea done right.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you, everybody. Audience, you've been terrific. Tons of interaction. We will follow up with the questions that we weren't able to get to today in a follow-up email. Thank you, Daniel, Craig, always really insightful information for our audiences. So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Morgan, thank you for sharing what you are doing at the Joie de Vivre. Very successful, obviously. And again, our audience really appreciates hearing from a hotel who's actually doing this stuff in practicality. So thank you, everybody. This is Thursday, which is the new Friday. So have a good weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.